Hey guys, how's it going? Let's take a look at a game that I played last night against a player called Aggro. Um, Here, my options are, I think, Amplify spec makes sense. Um, Missile spec also makes sense, but I usually end up selling it out of the tanks. Elite spec, risky. Um, I go with the Amplify spec because the tanks are pretty good. They chaff clear decent, and you get the arc lights, which are the best unit in the game. Um, More about my opponent. At the time that I played him, uh, he was ranked, I believe, something like 10 or 12 in the world. So a very, very high level opponent. So I'm I'm pretty grateful that he didn't dodge me because my own MMR is um, maybe 300 less than Agri. So um, you got to give him credit for not dodging. Um, I I think about, do I want to go with the fangs or do I want to go with the crawlers? Into the tarantulas, you think the crawlers are just going to get munched up. So, you think, okay, maybe the fangs will survive a bit longer because they're not just running into tarantulas, right? So I was thinking, okay, maybe go fangs. But I think crawlers probably are just as good. I'm not sure if my logic is correct. But anyways, this time I decided to go fangs. I put the fangs in front of my tower, moved the tanks over a little bit so they're more centered. And my opponent is aerial spec. So that's the spec that I would have been looking for. So he's got aerial spec. He looks like he gets a couple more packs of crawlers. And the Fang in the middle, which I'm not quite sure why, what the logic is, but I'm definitely more worried about Fangs than I am quick crawlers. So kind of lucky here. My tower got very close to getting sniped. And it looks like we win the first round. Alright, I instantly go for the Phantom Ray, just because I was planning to go Phantom Ray anyways. Agri could go either Wasp or Phantom Ray himself as aerial spec. He gets the bonus, 13% defense and attack, so let's see what he does. So I just get my 3 packs of Phantom Rays, and by the way, I was Amplify spec, so I saved my Amplify cores for the Phantom Rays. I did not put it on the tanks because I really don't care about the tanks. I only care about my Phantom Rays. So I always save them for the Rays. So the opponent gets a pack of Wasps and 2 packs of Wasps and has the Phantom Rays on the flank. This is pretty cheesy. This is pretty powerful because, I mean, am I really going to have enough anti-air to defend against that kind of flank? Yeah, almost never. So it's a very good play on his part. Gets the tower. cleans everything up. Here, I think I just have to skip. The deployment module might be interesting, but I'm not quite advanced enough to be making plays like putting stuff on the side, going for a snipe, moving it back. I'm just trying to play conservative here, right? Aggro, I think, goes for the deployment module. So, got 600 resources. I'm not quite sure what okay, so I go for 2 packs of wasps with the anti-air for 200, so perfectly 600 spent. And this is because I see my opponent going into air, and the only thing really that is good against air is anti-air wasps. So it's pretty much the only thing I can do because I don't want to lose the air. If I lose the air, it's going to be pretty bad because I've already lost the ground. I have nothing on the ground except for, these tanks, couple arc lights, some limited chaff. These spiders are going to dominate the ground. End up losing both towers. It's not looking great for me. The wasps are still reigning supreme. Hopefully I'll be able to clean up this one spider so I don't lose that much HP. Alright, so another round for Aggro. Now I see fire here, so that's pretty much an instant pick. Fire is one of the best spells, and since I don't have chaff clear, I absolutely need as much fire as I can possibly get. So having fire is great for me. For Aggro, the fire's not going to do anything for him because I basically have no chaff. I level up my Phantom Ray. And I think, okay, I still need stuff to deal with the chaff. Now, he put a third pack here in this flank, so, I really need some arc lights to deal with all these crawlers coming in. If my air units are ever going to have an opportunity to attack the enemy's air units. So that is what I end up doing. I get an arc light, and I get another pack of wasps. This is because, we're kind of in an air mirror at this point, and I kind of want to win the air battle at all costs. Now, I'm not sure if throwing down more air is going to necessarily mean I win the air battle, but definitely, if once the ground is cleared, whoever has more anti-air wasps are going to win. So I figure, I need to just keep investing in anti-air wasps. Didn't have enough money for range yet, but I did get the first tower because this tower seemed to be getting sniped way too easily. Enemy gets range on the wasps, which is kind of confusing because if I was the enemy, I would think, okay, or I would get anti-air because I have mostly air. So I'm not sure why range is better than anti-air, but maybe I'm not sure why he would choose that. So I do win on the left side, but the right side ends up falling, and it's another round for Aggro. So this is starting to not be looking the greatest, but what can you expect going against someone so high level? I was considering this this advanced missile device, as a form of getting back into the game, but there's really nothing I could hit except for possibly this one tarantula, but he's got the deployment module. He's moving it around every single round if he's being resourceful. I do finally get the range tech on the arc lights, so now my chaff clear is going to be significantly better. The arc light with range is pretty much the most cost-effective chaff clear available, and it's very fortunate that the opponent is pretty much gone pure crawlers, which arc lights excel at. He has to go crawlers because he's got wasps coming in at a high speed, but I'd be much more worried about fangs if the composition was a bit different. I put 2 missiles here, thinking, okay, maybe after I clear the chaff and the air missiles the air comp comes in, I'll be able to hit some juicy targets. But these 2 missiles are completely wasted, which is not good. I still have no techs on my Phantom Rays because this is turning into a wasp or anti-air mirror, and the Phantom Rays are really not good in terms of being anti-air. They're good against the tarantulas, but that's about it. Now we've got a drop here. I was contemplating, which card would make the most sense. The hounds are great because that's going to help me clear chaff, but the downside is they will get obliterated by the tarantulas that that already have high explosive and probably will have range soon. So anything like a hound will just get instantly obliterated. The worm is interesting, but yeah, it's only 400 in profit versus 550 on the saber-tooth or 600 on the rhino. I end up going with the rhino because it's 600 in value, and I was thinking, well, the flanks are kind of exposed, especially on the right side. There's nothing here. I might be able to go in for a cheeky tower snipe with the rhino and then sell it the next round, and in doing so I get maximum value, so I do go with the rhinos. I decided to put 1 rhino here right in front of the tarantula, thinking maybe I'll just be able to lock on and just snipe the tarantula real quick. The other one's out back. Now I put the second tech on the wasps, as well as getting 3 more pack of wasps. So now the idea is, okay, I'm going to fully dominate their wasps because I have 2 techs versus their 1 tech. Level 3 wasps is getting a bit concerning, but as long as I can keep investing in technology and numbers, I might be able to overcome that. Now the opponent also gets the range on their wasps, and interestingly they also get a few extra packs of rays and the cloak. Now it is a bit curious about the cloak because the cloak adds 40% extra damage, which is good against my own rays, which have no technologies, but you would think I don't really have anything else on the ground that needs 40% extra damage to deal with. I did put down the rhino, so that is one target where the cloak will benefit, but it kind of seems the cloak tech may not be necessary, but overall it is the best tech on the rays in general. So if you're not sure about what tech to go with, I usually just go with the cloak because more often than not you're making a pretty good decision. I do get 1 more level on the other tower, so at least my 2 towers, they won't instantly die. So So unfortunately, my Rhino here wasn't the greatest of positioning. It gets pretty much demolished really quickly. The enemy Rhino also dies pretty quick too. Now my flanking Rhino manages to find the tower, and it looks like we just got the perfect tower timing. Just a millisecond before my own tower falls, and as a result, it looks like our rays, our wasps, I mean, are just clearing out the enemy wasps. So it's looking like we might get our first round since the first round since round one with a victory. We don't do a lot of damage, but hey, at least it's finally the tide has turned. I get the amplifying core because I do have some high level wasps, and the amplifying core goes well with a high level wasps. Now I click burst on my rays, and the idea was, okay, I'm not going to invest too many technologies on the rays. The rays are pretty much useless because of the AA wasps, but you know, since I have already 3 packs level 2, I may as well put 1 tech on them. And you know, burst is a pretty cheap tech, and it pretty much doubles their DPS. And the idea is, okay, let's get the rays to burst down the front line of medium units, the tarantula, the rhino, and so our wasps can clean up. I also get two more packs of rays. I think this was a mistake in retrospect, but I was thinking, well, you know, if you just keep investing into these wasps, you know, I'm just building 1 unit, and it's going to be too vulnerable to something that is good against wasps. For example, Fort AA or Mustang. If I have at least a second kind of unit like the rays, where I could put armor, I could put shield, you know, they at least can be like a front line to my wasps. At least that was the theory. In retrospect, I'm not sure how good of an idea that was, but I'm not sure what else I would have done. So the enemy missiles my pack of fangs. The rays do actually do what they were intended to do, which is instantly take out the rhino. Fortunately, it looks like we do lose a tower, but there's not a whole lot of air units here to take advantage of the debuff, so it's not quite the end of the world. Overall, this is looking not too bad. It's a pretty balanced result. So it looks like we win yet another round, but a very, very small victory. Here, I end up getting the deployment module, which I think I didn't really need it, because, you know, what am I really going to move around? You know, I just don't have much room to be moving stuff here. I was thinking originally maybe I can move a pack of, you know, maybe I can move a fang to the back or something, you know, could create a distraction, but, or I was thinking, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. You know, I was thinking, you know, for the cost, it might be worth it if I were to try some shenanigans, but yeah, probably should have just skipped it. Fire comes off of cooldown, which is great. I put it down to the area where most amount of crawlers will enter. Now I get shield on the wasps, which is going to more than double the lifespan of the wasps, along with 2 more packs. At this point, both my towers are level 3 now because I'm preparing to lose the towers, and I just want to make it as least painful as possible. I also sold out of the Rhino because the rays were just insta-killing it. Also got the defense and attack enhancement level 1. So the rays are doing their job, insta-killing the Rhino. Now the enemy also went shield this round on the Wasps, so we're pretty even in terms of attacks. I may have more Wasps in general, and my towers are tanking, which is also a positive for me. The debuff does last 5 seconds, but I'm actually not losing too much here. It doesn't look like it's enough for me to win the round, and the enemy actually has a pretty good, sizable victory. I skip because at this point, efficient light manufacturing is not going to do anything. You know, we're pretty much at the end of the game already. I borrow. I'm pretty much at death's door. I need to find a way to come back here. And the first thing I do is I level up the towers to level 4 because I know I'm going to lose the towers. 5 seconds of a debuff is too much. 3 seconds is considerably better. And I do my 4th tech on the Wasps. Now, if you notice, there's a critical difference between my Wasps and the enemy Wasps. The enemy Wasps runs Jump Drive, and I run Elite Marksman. So the Jump Drive tech is very good if you need to move around the Wasp. If there's a spell, like a nuke or a lightning storm, or ion beam, something like that, you can move your Wasps somewhere, and they'll be completely safe. Now me, I've decided that I don't want that tech. I want to just go the most powerful Wasp possible. So the elite spec on a level 4 is going to add 100% damage and 20 range, which is pretty huge against a unit that you're in a mirror with. So I went into this thinking that sure, Aggro is aerial spec, he gets a 13% bonus, but I have elite spec. So as long as my Wasps can get to level 3, level 4, and I click that elite spec, I should still be able to win. So the enemy gets loose formation on the crawler, which is going to make the chaff problem even worse. However, it's good that I'm not only relying on arc lights to clear chaff. My own Wasps are actually pretty decent at clearing chaff, so it's not a good thing, but it's not the end of the world. If I only had rays, this would probably be a very big problem. So because of the loose formation now, none of the rays actually attack the Rhino, which makes the rays pretty much completely useless at this point. But elite spec is just so powerful. Having 100% extra damage is absolutely huge, and it's going to help clearing out the tarantulas. It's going to be amazing in a wasp mirror, and you could see that I've won both sides now, and I have plenty of wasps left over. So this is the start of the comeback. So we get some interesting unit choices here. I think, I didn't really want to go Mustang because, we're going into Tarantulas with HE. It's very easy click range. Mustangs are not going to do well, but th both of our armies pretty much carry Wasps, so there's really nothing else that is even remotely as good as the Mustang, so we both have to pick the Mustang. I do think about it for a while, but I end up realizing that there's really nothing to think about. I have to go Mustang. Um, it's not a bad unit. And in terms of the first tech, I actually go range first instead of aerial spec because my thought was I do not want my Mustangs to get munched up by the tarantulas. I'm very scared of the tarantulas, so anything that can keep the Mustangs alive is the first priority. Um, I get range, so um, the Mustangs get a bit more range and stay a bit further away from the tarantulas, especially if he's going to click range himself. Speed is also good at this point. Borrowing every round, clicking speed is a great idea. Now I do have oil, and I decided to put an oil down on the left side. Also getting 2 more packs of Mustangs, as well as the second attack enhancement. Because I have the Mustangs, the attack enhancement really is an efficient upgrade for Mustangs. For the Wasps as well, because they're both semi-fast attacking units. I lose my right tower pretty quickly, which is not good. It looks like Aggro, who also picked Mustangs, he double teched the Mustangs and got aerial spec. So his Mustangs are extremely good against my Wasps. But interestingly enough, his Mustangs just get stuck on my tower while my arc light clears it up. So it didn't look like a victory, but actually it turned out to be a minor victory. Here it's a bit too late for the additional deployment slot. I just go smoke bomb thinking if I put it here, when the Mustangs run in, they're going to lose most of their range and it's going to be a pretty big debuff to the enemy Mustang. So that's what I do. I get the second defense enhancement on the tower, as well as leveling my tower to level 5 because even that 3-second debuff is starting to get pretty annoying now, and I think it would be silly to assume that I can defend this tower. Still have 900 resources left. Do I go for aerial spec on the Mustang? It's only 500. I put down some missiles here to the crawler packs where I can hit. No, I go 2 more packs of Mustangs. With 1 more arc light. Now I make a pretty big mistake here. I was thinking that this Phantom Ray is doing nothing. You know, these Phantom Rays are very, very, they're doing almost no damage. So I thought, okay, I need to sell my Phantom Ray, and I'll get my small amplifying core, and I'll put that onto a Wasp. But the timer was running really, really low, and by the time I did that, I didn't get a chance to spend my 400. So I ended up just not spending 400, as well as borrowing for that round, so it wasn't well played at all. But when you get to these late rounds, 11, there's so much thought required on what to do. So the nerves are pretty tense, and I do quite often run out of time overthinking things, and that's what happened here. I had 400 left over. I borrowed, which was a waste. I didn't put down the amplifying pack, but it doesn't seem like it really matters. The enemy is focused on attacking my right tower, which has a 0-second debuff, so the upgrading of that tower to level 5 was pretty smart. And now my army just cleans up their army. So that's a pretty good victory for me. And I think as Aggro, now you're starting to get worried, because my Mustangs, my Wasps are scaling out of control now, and even getting the tower does nothing. So, I've set level 7. Now, to be fair, Aggro also has level 7, but he just doesn't have elite spec. When you have elite spec on level 7, that's 150% extra damage plus 30 range. I mean, it is so much more powerful than the enemy Wasp, despite being aerial spec. So I finally get aerial spec on my own Mustangs, because I'm thinking, well, my Mustangs are shooting a lot at the enemy Wasps now, so this is a very good time to get the upgrade. I move my Mustang, I believe, out of the oil. And I also get armor-piercing bullets for that extra 50%, because at this point, my only units are basically just Mustangs and Wasps, so I kind of don't have much more to upgrade. Now, yeah, I could maybe go, I could maybe do something on the arc lights, but the only thing usually I would do is click EMP, but there's nothing to EMP except for these tarantulas, which honestly are not that big of a threat at level 2. They don't even have range, so I feel like I did the right thing getting those 2 upgrades on the Mustangs. Now the enemy goes shielded fortresses, kind of as a pivot, because he knew that he wasn't winning the Wasp and Mustang mirror anymore because of the elite spec on my Wasps. So he has to do something where he has to put some heavy units in front of his army, so they can tank for the Wasp and Mustang composition. So it looks like that kind of worked. My left side is demolished. I still win the right side because he has no forts there. And now it's just a question of, do my remaining units have enough to take out his remaining units? And it doesn't look like it does, because his fort is just tanking. And I have nothing left, but while it is a loss, it's not a huge loss. Puts me down 1250. So at this point, I'm thinking, well, I cannot keep doing what I was doing before, which is just focusing on my Mustang, focusing on my Wasp, because if I keep doing that, then I'm just going to lose harder. I have to pivot into something now. Looking at these options, none of these options are particularly appealing. The Farseers do nothing against the Wasps. Steel balls are just going to get instantly killed. Stormcrawlers are interesting. You could break the shield, but really, I don't think the Stormcrawlers are going to do that much. They're going to get killed pretty quickly. Sandworm is just going to get killed pretty quickly. Doesn't matter if you put armor on it. There's level 7 Wasps and forts and Mustangs everywhere. It's not going to do anything. So I just end up getting the worm and selling it for money. I've got 3,400 before having to borrow, and usually I run carry rays, or a combination of rays and wasps. And then if something happens, I usually have to rely on Warcrime Vulcan, because the Warcrime Vulcan can take care of all the chaff, right? In this specific situation, I don't think the chaff is really that much of an issue, because I've got Mustangs, I've got Wasps, they're fairly decent against chaff. So step one usually is build the air army, usually carry rays. Step 2, go to Warcrime Vulcan to clear the ground. But in this case, since I don't think War Crimes is going to do anything here, I just go straight to step 3. And step 3 is do the War Factory cheese. Now, I have enough money actually for 2 war crimes. 2 war factories. So that's what I do. And I figure, okay, I'll put them right here, right in front of the forts, so they can obliterate the forts, and they could also tank for this half of the board. The Wasps will tank. So I get the armor tech, and I decided actually to get Launcher Overload. This is the first time I've actually tried this. I was thinking, okay, maybe Launcher Overload, I can just clear everything quicker and I can make it to the tower better. Usually I go Photon Coating instead. Photon Coating and armor goes well together, because even if they have EMP, you're still going to get the benefit of some additional protection. The enemy goes Sandworm, puts the Photon on it, and he's got anti-air and some more forts. So this makes a lot of sense. The forts are basically the shields or the tank that's going to tank all the damage, while the Wasps on the back are just going to clear up my own Wasps. So it makes a lot of sense here. So let's see how this goes. So these war factories surprisingly clear out everything pretty quickly, clear out the forts. They're stuck on a bit of chaff. The missiles, they're not going to do that much, because at level 5, they can take around, with a shield, they can take around, I don't know, is that four missiles before dying? So it's going to take a couple salvos before the Wasps start going down. Surprisingly, the war factories die relatively quickly, but they've done their job. They've tanked for half the round, and as a result, that's enough time for all the chaff to be cleared, and for everything to be dead except for the Wasp and Mustang on the back line. So the War Factory has done its duty, even though it died, which I wasn't expecting it to die so quickly. So is that going to be enough damage? It is. So a very fortunate game. It wasn't a game that I was expecting to win because it's such a high MMR player. At the end, I hardly had any arrays left. I sold my remaining 1 or 2 packs in the last few rounds, which was good because the rays were doing nothing. 200 damage. The War Factory move was the move that won the game. I actually went back and tested putting Photon on instead of Launcher Overload, and that actually worked way better. The War Factories both survived, and the amount of damage that was done to the HP was 2 War Factories worth plus more units, so it was a much more decisive victory had I clicked Photon Coating. So for next time, I think if I try to use my War Factories as kind of like a tank for my air units, I'm just going to keep going Armor and Photon. The enemy here, the reason why he lost the Wasp Mirror again is because he has Jump Drive and I have Elite Marksman. And when you're at level 8 or 5 or 4, I mean, the Wasps are doing double the damage. They have 20 more range. It's really not a fair fight at all for Wasps that don't have Elite Marksman. Now, the downside is I was quite lucky that there wasn't any Lightning Storm or Ion Beam kind of spell, because those are, especially the Lightning Storm, those spells can be pretty hard to dodge, and the way I have my Wasps in a straight line, a beacon is only really going to save a few packs. The rest of them are just going to go into the Lightning Storm and die. I had another game recently with someone around 2300 MMR, and it was a similar game where he went AA Wasps into my early raise, and then I responded with my own carry AA Wasps. But on the last round there was a Lightning Storm, and he Lightning Stormed my Wasps. They all died. I instantly lost. Whereas the opponent could just jump drive his Wasps somewhere else and be completely safe. So that is the risk you run. If a spell comes out, then I automatically lose. But if no spell comes out, then I feel like the Elite Marksman Wasps will automatically win. So it's kind of a gamble. I have to say I was probably pretty lucky because 13 rounds and not a single. I don't think we had a single spell that rained down from the skies. There was the fire spell that benefited me as well. So I have to say that I was very fortunate with the amount of spells that did not come out. So yeah, I was very lucky and happy to win this, especially given that I didn't really even have to rely on the Phantom Race. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.